Welcome to Outside of a Cat, because outside of a cat, a book is a person's best friend, and inside of a cat, it's too dark to read. We make videos about stories. We're here to share book reviews, chat to authors, and dive into the practical side of writing. Everyone gets to write their own stories. This is some video footage from the Perth Poetry Club, the fabulous Helen. I thought it would really work on Outside of a Cat, so here it is. Make sure you check out Helen. Helen is living in Melbourne now, I understand, but she was a very great talent who did a lot of work for the community when she was living in Perth. So a big shout out to Helen, and we say hi and hope she's doing well.
I am Zootmos, greatest sculptor in all the land. The power of creation, the fire of the sun burns through these hands. The Greeks called me Tuthmos, maker of unrivaled beauty, creator of the head of Queen Nefertiti. But perhaps I carved the strangest nose upon the face of history. My name, Zootmos, meant child of Zehuti, the great god, the ibis god, of wisdom, science, the arts, magic, and messenger to all the gods from mankind. Master of works was I, favorite of my pharaoh, Akhenaten, the heretic king who worshipped the Aten, the solar sphere, the one true God. But I had everything, more freedom and power than any sculptor could dream. I loved my pharaoh and his family, and together we built Akhetaten, the great city of the sun, horizon of the Aten. My pharaoh wished the sun god to rule supreme and spoke only to the king, dethroning and the controlling priesthood of the war god Amen, so we could turn Egypt into a greater power for peace and trade. But we were drunk with ideas. Our sun god needed no other gods at all. None. Yes. For Aten's form was all of life, both male and female equally, and in death all became one with the pure life force of the sun. No need for fancy afterlife realms. People could spend their money on living, not dying. Oh, what genius! What freedom! What a disaster! The people were afraid of freedom. Egyptian life revolved around buying things for death and a materialist afterlife. It was an endless shopping spree that supported all our industry. The priests of our men seized their opportunity. My king was shamed and killed with poison. Our kingdom was destroyed. I watched the soldiers bludgeon and erase my beautiful city and my family of the sun, one by one. In sadness, I made a golden death mask to my last sun king, more radiant and breathtaking than any death mask ever seen. How could the Aten let them all die? Why? Had we ruined the divine plan with our ignorance? So I vowed to build a greater kingdom to the sun, in a better place. Exodus. In Egypt, I faced a life of persecution and spiritual death. In Egypt, I faced persecution and a life of spiritual death. But out in that desert, there was hope. The sun's power surged within me, for now I was the Aten's sole instrument and spoke only unto me. So I gathered up my family and our last loyal followers, and by night we fled Egypt, hoping to well our numbers with the northern lands, with the Habaru tribes and their clans, known today as the Hebrews, who had fewer gods and we could barter with our gold. Leaving Egypt was perilous. The murderous generals of our men ruled Egypt now, and ruled the land, and patrolled the west coast all the way to Canaan. So we cut northeast into the Sinai, through a vast marshland, known today as the Bitter Lakes. We called it then the Great Sea of Reeds, the Reed Sea. Once safely out of Egypt, we grew excited and modelled notions of our new kingdom. But the land of Sinai was harsh and strange. Great twisted walls of rock, wailed with the souls of the dead, howling day and night. The old got sick, and we, from fear and exhaustion, we began to fight. Zootmos! Life under our men is better than this! Zootmos, we're all going to die! Oh, ye of little faith! My loins began to burn with such a sudden pain that no amount of goat cheese could refrain, until my bush burned like the fires of the sun itself, and I knew that this was a sign. So we stopped before a small mountain, and I climbed the top to receive my divine instruction. The lawbreaker. The sun shone golden against my face and across the arid mountain peaks as I called, Aton, how manifold are your works! In wisdom you have made all creatures. The earth is full of your riches. O sole God like whom there is no other, who coverest yourself with light as with a garment. All eyes are upon your beauty until you set. All labours cease when you rest in the west. Aton! The Aton's voice came swiftly as a precocious child. Zootmos, come forth! But I tripped and fell and came fifth, and my God was still pleased and said, What do you want? I'm busy. Oh, great one, I need your guidance to create my new world. Well, I'm about to set. Can't you do it tomorrow? Oh, please, great one, we are in darkness already. We need illumination. Please command us. Tell us what to do. Some commandments, oh great majestic orb. Can't you just make some up? They won't know. Oh, please, great one, guide me now. Okay, but you must set this law down in stone, Zootmos, so you won't need to keep bothering me. This is my law. This law must be followed as the path and the way, for this is my natural law, to ensure balance and peace and harmony in all things. Feverishly I scribbled down each rule of law, sent for my tools, and with powerful knotted arms did split and polish fine slabs from the rocks about me, and carved the commandments till my hands bled and the Aton's work was done. Where am I? Excitedly I ran down the slope, lugging my stone tablets. As I reached the camp, there was great merriment and revelry. The vats of spiced wine and beer were opened. Why, how could they know of my joy? Suddenly, I spied the source of their delight, and my joy turned to horror. High on a boulder in the center of the camp, stood a small wooden cow, crudely carved from campfire wood, indulgently swathed in our precious gold, doused in perfume and dried flowers. Hathor, goddess of abundance, that cow was back! Oh, rage pulsing, red face burning, I hurled my tablets at the vile beast. 2 tablets broke with a sickening crack. The fury silenced the crowd. pointing to the cow, I blasted, "Who has done this? Through the desert valley, who has done this?" All eyes fell upon my 3 most wicked apprentices, who stood sheepishly drinking beside an open wine vat. My open wine vat of my most expensive Syrian wine. The women pleaded that the youths were merely acting in the interests of the group, but I knew better. "And I shall reward them for their loyalty," I bellowed, as I grabbed their anointed cow by a hind leg, brandished it above my head, and charged the teenage boys. "You blasted maggots! Spawn of a donkey's bumhole! You want abundance? I shall give it to you!" Though knocking on 50, I was a solid wall of angry muscle, and my menace froze them long enough to beat them shitless with their own beast till the gold turned to red. The lads outran me into the night, except for one who lay sobbing in the dust. I hurled their busted cow after them and staggered back to camp, disheveled and snarling. Never had I been so angry. Since the fall of Akhenaten, my actions and all our fears weighed heavy, and I began to weep. This precious dream depended on self-control, and I had broken the first law of the Aten. "Thou shalt not hate." Then a warmth burned within me. "No, I shall not hate." And I ran back to the boy, took him in my arms, and walked him back to camp. To my surprise, the mood was hushed and forgiving. The crowd gathered round the campfire, my tablets laid out in the firelight, the broken laws pieced together carefully. Faces were lit with admiration. "They're wonderful," a voice said. And I was embraced by my people, and in this peace I knew that the messenger of the gods I was meant to be. Conclusion. We never did build our great city, for life was harsh and uncertain amongst the marauding northern tribes, but we found a homeland in a place of many springs, and converted many savages to not only to our God, but to our civilized Egyptian ways. In the killing of our meat, we forbade the eating of hogs, repugnant meat of Set. We instructed them in male circumcision and in our use of herbs to balance mind and body. Often I caught members of my fold telling the savages fanciful stories of my godly birth, my secret royal lineage, or that my tablets of law had fallen out of the sky, and that I was 120 years old. Crikey, and they did believe, and fell upon their knees before me. It was said that my staff could turn rocks into water and bread when touched. By holding it above my head, I could vanquish whole armies and part the seas. Oh, will my wonders never cease? Oh. I was buried by my grandchildren in a tiny rock tomb I had made many years before my adventures began, facing the Nile and the sunrise in my old homeland. And I promised my loved ones I shall return each day as the sun, and not to mourn, for I shall touch them fondly through the rays of the dawn. In time, my loving God was supplanted by another jealous God, a mountain God, who feared the power of women and reduced my 13 commandments to an unsavory 10, none of which are even recognizable. Only my hymns to the Aten remained sort of the same. The prefix of my name was swept away with the desert winds, and I became Moses, child of my only God, the Eternal One, whose face will radiate both love and scorn long long after this world has crumbled and gone.
If you're an author and want a free plug for your book, then contact Jack or myself and we'll do an interview and or a reading. Put a comment down below. My name is James and my partner in category is Jack. Please like, share and subscribe and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.